Welcome to another episode of Design+Style, a podcast for designers by designers, with co-hosts Dixie Willard of Dixie Willard Design and Rachel Moriarty of Rachel Moriarty Interiors. The Design+Style podcast is brought to you by the Design+Style Visibility Lab. The Visibility Lab is the only membership group that focuses on the latest strategies and tools to help you get more visible while showcasing your specific brilliance. We've got weekly online office hours with both of us, monthly topics, in-depth worksheets, and exclusive monthly trainings. Today on the podcast, we have Jason Oliver Nixon. Jason is one half of the guiding force behind Madcap Cottage, a global lifestyle brand that encompasses sophisticated fun, history, whimsy, and grace. From interior design projects to home decor products, accessories, fashion collaborations, branded books, pet essentials, public speaking engagements, social media, tastemaker initiatives, and more, Madcap Cottage channels a spirit and sensibility that is always unique and special, yet also decidedly approachable.
So Jason, tell us what you have going on right now, because I know a couple of things, but I want to hear it from you. Tell me all the things that you guys have going on that you're really excited about right now.
Well, Rachel and Dixie, I mean, John and I both feel so lucky. I mean, we wake up every day and we're not Pollyanna, but we really do feel like kids in a candy store. And we just feel like we have such great partnerships in the works. And that's really what they are. They're partnerships. These are long-term relationships. It's not about slapping your name on something. It's not about that quick fix. It's really about that long term. So coming up, we have our Made in America upholstery collection with Chapter 3, which is a woman-owned upholstery company outside of Tupelo, Mississippi. We go out to Tupelo a lot, and that's launching at Steinmart Outpost. There are over 250 Steinmarts from coast to coast, a lot in Florida, Texas, a couple out in California with you all. And
Yep.
we just feel so fortunate. And the idea with Steinmart is they're kind of taking a new direction. They have a president who joined about a year ago from Lord & Taylor, Marianne,
Wow.
and she's editing the experience. She's curating the Steinmart experience. So we're going to be doing in-store events. We're going to be doing activations at Steinmart. So I really think that Steinmart is stepping it up and saying we're kind of the department store of the past, where you went into a Marshall Fields, you went into a B. Altman, you went to a Bullocks Wilshire, and it really delivered that experience. And I think that retail today isn't delivering the experience, and Steinmart is saying, hey, we're not Home Goods, we're not Marshalls, we're stepping it up, and we have a really strong interest in color and pattern, and I think Madcap really fits into that mix, and delivering to the consumer beautiful and made in America, woman-owned company upholstered goods where nothing is more than $450 retail.
Wow.
And so delivering that, it kind of ticks off every box. So to be part of that brand, not only Chapter 3, but also Steinmart, where the experience is really being elevated, we feel so special. We really like to be associated with companies that are rethinking the model, that are trying new things, that are delivering on the customer service component, not just, I can go put stuff out in the marketplace, but we really want to give the consumer not only great product, but show them how to use it. So for us, we're going to be spending a lot of time with all of the Steinmart regional managers, the general managers, to show them how they can use the Madcap Cottage product and deliver to their consumer, to their customer, that little bit of magic that, hey, this chair can be used in this kind of setting, and we'll show you how, and really give the consumer those tools to that idea, bring the adventure home. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. Okay.
I actually love your quote, bring the adventure home. We both
Thanks.
work
Thank
a lot
you.
with the Design Network. And I can't remember, we were talking about something, right, Dixie? And I was like, oh, I just love their tagline, bring the adventure home. We were talking about this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
I really, really love that. You guys travel a lot too, right? I mean, not only for work, but
Yeah, no, it's like you guys. Everything always is. I take a bath. I take a bath, and I write it off because I smell a trend.
Yes.
It's always like, whatever. But no, we travel a lot, and I think it's that idea that the eye has to travel, and whether it's a trip to the mall or it's walking down the street or a trip to India, every moment, I think that a lot of people in this world don't keep their eyes open and aren't open to experience. And so I think that, for us, travel can be, the smallest little thing, or we're lucky enough to take some of these really far-flung trips. But that idea that we capture, just walking down the street a few minutes ago to get a coffee, I'd noticed a building I hadn't seen here in High Point. And it was this wonderful Art Deco style building that I took about 8 zillion photos of. And I'm sure that will translate into something that we're doing. But then we're also lucky enough to go to London and New York and Los Angeles and all those kind of great bigger trips as well. But I think, Auntie Mame in one of our favorite movies said, life is a banquet and those poor suckers are starving to death. And I think it's that idea of always keeping your eyes open, because if you're open to experience, you're open to adventure, you never know where that's going to come from. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be zipping off to Morocco. It can be, walking your dog.
So true. I think one of the things that some people have told me when we've just been walking around town or whatever, I look up when I walk.
Yep.
And I notice that it's so funny because I'll say, oh, did you see? And I'm like, that far off thing or that thing up there or that tree or that leaf or that color. I'm constantly, as creatives, that's kind of where we've kind of just, it might be second nature, but it's funny how I notice that people walk with their heads down.
I will.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Please,
Dixie. As an extremely clumsy person, it is a service to everyone around me if I look down when I'm walking. So if I stop and look up, I make sure to stop.
Well, let's let Jason in on a little secret. Dixie does not. I'm 5'2", so I wear a lot of wedges just to try to get a couple inches in. Dixie, I am so clumsy. Dixie will not let me wear wedges the week before market because I always fall down. Every time I fall down, I scrape my knees. I can't wear the boots I want to wear because it hits my, where I've scraped my knees. And it's hilarious. So yeah, I know I'm a little head in the clouds, maybe too much.
Yeah. But that's great that you guys know each other well enough that you know how to kind of watch out for each other.
Exactly. That's so funny.
But I love hearing you talk about adventure, because that's one of the things that when I hit my 40s suddenly became important to me, was making sure that I made time for adventure.
Yeah, because I think, you reach a point, and not that I was ever about the stuff, but I think, for me, as I, to that point, Dixie, of hitting 40 or getting older, that I think it's putting a premium on people and putting a premium on experience. I don't need, when I got to Palm Springs, I do always stop at, the Gucci outlet and kind of fight the hordes of Chinese folks to see if I can find a little Gucci something.
Yeah.
But, for me, it's not about luxury for me is not about a Four Seasons hotel or a fancy. It's about that adventure, and it's about lapping up those experiences. It's about having some fun. And I don't think any of us remember one day, gee, I didn't sit at my desk, but you got up and out and you met somebody great. And I think that we, when we go to cocktail parties or dinners or whatever, we always walk away with a new friend. And that's really what I think makes it special. And it's not, it's not about, I think that, one of our problems is we tend to buy a lot of antiques. So I think on that front, we kind of are, there is that kind of stuff. But in my personal life, it's not. I have certain things that, I love. Every year I buy my Smyson of Bond Street diary, because I'm a big believer in, technology where technology makes sense. But I love my diary, and I would never do my diary in Outlook. And it's, that book is about $200, and I kind of, think every year, is it worth it? But I've been, I've had them since I was really poor 20 years ago, and I have them now, and I have a little bit more money. But that's just one of those little touch points. Or I buy my deodorant in England because that just means something to me. But so that adds a little bit of the, not that I should be talking about my deodorant, but that adds a little bit of the, I smell really nice.
That's important.
That little bit of it, that little bit of adventure. Yeah, but it's something I've curated from abroad that I'm able to bring back into my experience in High Point and say these are little touch points or little moments in my life that are really special to me.
Speaking of moments, didn't you call Prince? Who did you call?
Yeah, I was talking. Thank you for reading my Facebook post. I was interviewing Robert Keim, who is Prince Charles's and Camilla's go-to interior designer. He did Highgrove House, and he's worked with them for a long time. And I was interviewing him. I'm a contributing editor to American Airlines Celebrated Living magazine, which is their first class magazine. I had been with Delta Sky for many years and switched over recently. But I do design stories for them. I do profiles. I do travel stories. And I had pitched the idea of new traditionalists, and the idea that we're seeing, with Gucci and kind of food and all sorts of things across the board, that kind of new tradition is coming back into play. And Catherine Ireland recently said that chintz is one of the top trends for 2018. So I interviewed him, and he was great and super cool and super normal. But I interviewed him and Alexa Hampton and Denise McGahey. And so I got a nice range of people all over the place. But that was, it's I've been lucky enough to have these adventures where I've interviewed really interesting people over the years, some famous, some not, or, to have Jay Jagger call me, is kind of, like just a little wacky, at the end of the day. John and I are both kids from Florida and Iowa. But, it kind of keeps it's fun to have those little moments. Yes.
I know I put like the hashtag, that's a moment.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
So what else? So you have shade. I remember seeing something in the shade store, or no, Smith & Noble.
We're at Smith & Noble. We have a Madcap Cottage line with them, and it's it's curtain panels, shades. We might have hardware in the next year, but it's a great place because, again, it's that idea of it's retail ready. Yes. And I love that, their catalog is $1 million+ drop, and you can get it through the website and so many different channels. And the idea of accessible design, and that we're showing you how they create great visuals. We're really showing you how to bring that magic to your windows, and what a quick, easy way to transform a space. And Smith & Noble makes it super easy. I mean, they really show you how to measure. They show you how to create that look that you're going for, and then it shows up, and it's easy.
Yeah. So for going back just a second, because I mean, this is big. You've talked about your partnership with Steinmart, your partnership with Smith & Noble, the fabulous interviews that you get to do, but you're still just a couple of guys from Florida, and you said Iowa, right?
Yeah, John's from Iowa.
And how do you go from being just a regular designer to what was it that made you take those next steps to get to where you are today?
Well, I think, Dixie, we both come from editorial backgrounds. John and I were both magazine editors for many years. John was at House Beautiful. He was the home editor at Parents Magazine. He was at a great magazine called American Homestyle and Gardening that's not around anymore. And I had been at Condé Nast Traveler. I was a senior editor at Random House. I had started Niche Media with Jason Bin, so I was editorial director of Los Angeles Confidential and Gotham and Hamptons and all those magazines for many years. So I think that at the end of the day, we're storytellers. And John and I reached a point where we said why we had styled every story, we had produced every story, written every story, read every book about Dorothy Draper and Billy Haynes and Billy Baldwin and Ruby Ross Wood and all of these great legends. And, neither of us went to journalism school. And we said, I think that there's a, great place for journalism school as well as, to go to interior design school. But we had really trained ourselves on the job. And I think we just reached a point where we said, we were in our late 30s at that point. And why are we writing about everyone else's stuff? Let's try it. And I think that it was an idea of capturing our clients' stories and being able to interview Robert Keim and really deep dive on what makes him tick and what is it about new tradition that speaks to him, and getting inside our clients' heads. And I think that having that storytelling journalistic background where when we're delivering to our clients, we're not delivering. There's definitely a certain vein to our style and our look, but there's certain designers out there that you can say, oh, I know who designed this. Right. Whether it's in Seattle or New York or Tokyo, it's kind of a Louis Vuitton handbag, and you can say, oh, I know exactly who designed this. There might be a Chinese Chippendale, there might be a wall of stone or a Hollywood Regency moment. For us, it's really about getting inside our client's head. So while many of the things we put out on Instagram are our own home, and they're very colorful and very patterned and prints packed, as we love with our new book, Prince Charming, but it's that idea that we are really capturing our clients' story. So I think that for us, it's about how can you heighten that engagement? How can you use Instagram to really elevate your brand experience? And we get so many of our clients and so many of our licenses really through Instagram. And we don't have a huge, I think we have 25,000 followers. It's not 100,000, 300,000 and those kind of things. But I think there's a good quality, and it's like you guys, you have a great community of, a couple thousand interior designers who are really following the podcast. I think the same for us. I think it's, we're lucky enough that we're big believers in you don't ask, you don't get. So if I don't know somebody or there's something I'm trying to get, I between Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or cold calling and saying, hey, I want to meet this person, the head of a department store where I think we should have our product, or, we spend, I spend a lot of time, John, I spend a lot of time sending thank you notes. And that's how we were brought up. And we have beautiful stationery. And again, I think, as I said earlier, that idea of using technology where technology makes sense. But I would never send an email like, thanks for dinner last night. It's always a really nice note. And it's not just about cranking out notes, but it's really kind of a heartfelt thank you for letting us be part of your experience. So I think that over the years, that amalgam of kind of social, hand-touched, and special has really helped elevate our brand experience, that everything feels hand-touched. It feels special. It doesn't feel mechanical. It has a soul to it. It's not just, again, it's not that idea that everything we do looks the same. We're doing a very modern apartment in Manhattan right now. We're doing a very traditional Georgian in DC. We're doing a ranch-style house in Sarasota, Florida. And I think it's, I'd love to have 3 or 4 clients a year, but I don't want to have more than that. I don't think that that's where our future, I think our future is in product, and we're finding we're doing a lot of public speaking now, and that as a revenue stream has been surprising, because I don't think we expected that to be something that was actually viable, that would actually deliver additional revenue. And it's been really fun to see that on a small level, where I used to give it up for free. Now, I say, oh, is there, and there might be $1,000, $5,000, $2,000, and it really makes it worthwhile. So I think that short or long, I think that for all of us, it's about having those additional revenue streams. And to say, as you slice and dice that pie, being just an interior designer, as we all know, is not, can or cannot be lucrative. But if you have other revenue streams and engagement levels, that's, nothing lasts forever. So you switch in and out of these different streams. Did I sort of answer that?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I love it. No. I love it because, that's sort of what Dixie and I have done by stepping into this.
Absolutely.
And it was completely by accident. It wasn't the most, we were always like, we'd love to say it was strategic, but it kind of wasn't. We just started having conversations, flipped it on. But then what we do is we respond to what we listen.
Right.
And we kind of respond to what people are, if they say, oh, we love the way you two do this, or you two do that, come speak at this, come show up at that.
Mm-hmm.
We say yes every time. And so I think that's where a lot of our community, they get a little bit stuck on saying yes to opportunities. I love that you said that you even cold call. I don't think anybody has ever talked about cold calling.
Because I think it's, we, like you all, have so much on our plates, and I think that if there's not a why attached to it, at this point, it needs to kind of, it needs to answer, like we have a brand sandbox board of why are we associated with various brands and what do they bring to the table? Is it a revenue stream? Is it a revenue stream / marketing component? How do all these things play together, and what are they delivering? And I think that there are those happy accidents where you say, hey, Dixie, can this become something, and let's try it, and you never know. And I think if you make educated guesses, sometimes that's the most magical part of things. But I think that, if you don't ask, you don't get. And that, to your point, Rachel, of cold calling, put it out there. And, for us, I think one of our goals for the next 2 years is to get into some fashion and accessories spaces, and to say, okay, well, who do I see myself aligned with? Because I think that's very much a partnership thing, not going off on our own.
Right.
But it's, let's do a package, and let's send it to, I don't know, Vera Bradley. Let's think about who really plays in that pattern, prints and pattern space.
Yes.
And how can you elevate a quilted bag in a way that makes it you, and you put it out there, and if you're on their radar, that's where those opportunities come from.
Well, and I think too that the point that a lot of us forget is the worst thing that's going to happen is going to say no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think who cares, right? I mean,
Right.
it's if you bring self-confidence to the table, and you bring in nothing that any of us do is you learn from every experience. And I don't really ever fall on my face, but I do learn from moments, and not everyone likes me, and that's okay. It's the idea that, have a point of view, have a brand that stands for something. I mean, there are designers out there that are really quite famous, but if you ask me what their style is or what they stand for, I couldn't tell you. And I think that, and that's okay, because they're doing really well and they're very successful. But I really want to have John and I want Madcap Cottage to have a spirit of fun, a spirit of whimsy, a spirit of travel, a lot of those things we've already talked about, but we stand, there's something that we stand, we have a flag in the sand, and there is a definite point of view. And again,
like
it doesn't,
it's like a legacy brand. I feel like it's something that will live on and on. Like, you've definitely made a mark.
Well, thank you. I think that, I think we had a seismic shift, I mean, in our little world recently, where we relaunched our website in last week, and it really is much stronger. But our brand went, our bio went from John Loecke and Jason Oliver Nixon, the heads of Madcap Cottage, blah, 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 went to Madcap Cottage, a global lifestyle brand headed up by John Loecke and Jason Oliver Nixon. So thank you, Rachel, because I think that that's, the ultimate compliment for us. And again, we're a baby brand, but it's the idea when I meet somebody and they say, "Oh, are you associated with Madcap Cottage?" That's kind of the ultimate compliment, because I want it to be a legacy brand. I want it to have legs. That idea of Martha Stewart versus Martha Stewart Living, it's a brand that's bigger than Martha Stewart. And how do you capture that sensibility that I want you to be part of a sticky, that was why we didn't name it John Loecke and Jason Oliver Nixon. We really wanted it to have a brand resonance that you thought, oh, I want to be part of this adventure, part of this fun, part of this invitation to that, the elephant flying that flag and inviting you to be part of this brand. And that's what we wanted. We didn't want it to be, because it's not us, it's a brand, and we're part of that. We're part of building that brand experience. And I don't think that there are a lot of interior designers who have kind of named their brand after something where it really sticks. There are some interior designers where maybe they have it's something and then their name, but you're not quite sure. But there aren't many interior designers, I think, that have gone that route of not putting their name on it. Mm-hmm. So it was an experience. It was an experiment for us, and I think it's really paid off. And I think that we, a couple years in now, there's a resonance to the brand that's been really nice to see, and that's obviously evolving, and most people don't know Madcap Cottage, but it's that little by little, those baby steps of building the brand and partnering with people like Steinmart or Smith & Noble or Calico to help. Yeah, we love working with them, because there's no other source from coast to coast, from California to Colorado to Connecticut, that allows the consumer to go and to create custom upholstery and window treatments and bring a piece of vintage furniture in and recover it. So we really try and associate ourselves with brands that heighten the consumer experience, and then by dint of that, help elevate the brand, the Madcap Cottage brand experience.
Yeah. I love that.
Sorry, I talk too much.
No. I'm like seriously taking notes, and I'm like, I almost wasn't even breathing. So if I turn blue, just like Rachel, I love it, because I really want our community to hear what you just said, which is you yourself actually leaned into something bigger. You named yourselves global lifestyle. You added these words that were just so much bigger, right?
Well, I think if you put it out there, I'm not, I didn't read The Secret, but I think if you put words out there and you put it out in the universe, I tend to find it's not necessarily a cakewalk. It's not easy. No. Like all of us, Rachel and Dixie and Jason and John, we all work really hard to get what we want, but you put it out there, and I find that usually I can reel it in. And if I reel it in and it's not quite right, that's okay too, because you learn from that experience and you say, okay, you know what? Hopefully you can end well. But, we had a client the other day who said, hey, we love you guys. And it's, we think we speak the same language. It's great, but we just aren't ready to pull the trigger. And we ended it, and it's great. And there wasn't, nothing, all very positive. But I'm glad we were able to do that at that point than saying, hey, 3 months down the road, it's gotten weird or strange. And who knows, that client may come back to us down the road and say, hey, we talk about the same book. We talk about everything we talk about is the same reference point. So down the road, they might come back to us. But I think, put it out there. And I think a lot of people are scared to really think about what you want your brand to be, and where do you want it to be, and how do you, I'm almost 50, so my reference points, I'm a bill on Capitol Hill. Like, I'm here and I want to get to here. How do I get that? And whatever, maybe it's a whiteboard, maybe it's I'm a very, John and I are both so visual, as are you all, index cards, or how do you kind of create that nav map that's going to get you to from I'm here and I want to be here, and what are those steps that are going to get you there. And for me, I have no interest in being famous or any of those kind of things. Like it's how to well, no, that's kind of I don't know, I don't think so. But I think it's the idea of how can we make people's lives better,
right,
through design and through other components. And that would be that's and at the same time make people dream, to say, hey, we can deliver a great product to you at Smith & Noble or Calico or any of the other components that we have, but they deliver special. And I think that there's a lot of non-special out there, or there's a lot of, I think it's going through, I'm getting hippy dippy here, but I think it's about going through life, and we all have our moments where we can be assholes or whatever, but it's really going through life, being humble, thankful, and bringing a little grace to the situation. I'm amazed at people. Sometimes I meet people that I think, they're going to be so, and there's not a lot of grace there. And I think, a little bit of just mom, my mother always said, today's peacock, tomorrow's feather duster. And I think, that's good words to live by, because I think that, don't ever believe your own hype. I mean, not necessarily you have your own hype, but if you do have your own hype, just, sit down for a little while. Don't get all highfalutin.
Oh my gosh.
So
I love that. Thank you.
We all have our moments, but we try to be mostly, pretty fair, but clear. We try and be clear. I think clarity is good.
That is our word I just wrote down. And Dixie and I just locked, you can only see one of us, but Dixie and I locked eyes when you talked about, alluding to clarity before you said it, which is, we have a course called Visibility Warrior. And the first step is we start on is clarity. And a lot of people, we've noticed they try to blow through it. And we're like, no, this is actually really a big deal.
Right. So important.
This is not going to be, you need to go for a walk on the beach and you need to, you need to marinate. This has to marinate, it's not like something like, they'll be like,
it's not a 5-minute assignment.
I'm a designer and I want to be a bigger designer, or I want to be, you know what I mean? It's not that, it's not that,
Yep.
I even love that you called your board or whatever. Did you call it a sandbox or?
Yeah. Because I think it's that idea that, I think that the idea of clarity, and you all know far better than I do, but that idea that a lot of people don't have underpinnings in a foundation. And I think that, right, if you don't know what you want to be in life, I mean, granted, we all, those chapters change, but what do you stand for, and how can you manifest that? And to have that, I suggest to people, go take a walk on the beach, go, every year I try and put myself in a situation that's not in my comfort zone. Because I went out we did the ranch in Malibu last year, where you had to hike, granted I did a story, so I didn't have to pay for it, but it was, hiking, it was hiking 12 miles a day, and it really, and then it was, 3 hours of this, and I kind of, after the second day, I said, I'm not doing the 3 hours. I didn't,
right.
For me, getting out of bed and doing 12 miles was kind of whatever, but it really kind of challenged me. It gave me a little bit of that outward bound kind of quality, where I said, I'm going to push myself physically, to have that clarity of head to say, where am I? Where do I want to be? Where do we want the business to be? And because I think we all get so stuck in the forest for the trees, that who is it you can surround yourself with? How can you work with people like you and Dixie to pull out that nugget or that experience that could then be that, we thought this would be fun, and all of a sudden it's turned into a very much monetized podcast, book, brand experience, and getting people to dive deep to find what they really want out of it. It's not, I tell our interns, I'm like, you think this is gonna be glamorous. 90% of what we do is moving stuff around and schlepping, and it certainly has its moments of fun and all those kind of things, but it's a lot of, if you think it's just going to be, making 50 grand and sitting around eating bonbons, surprise.
I love that, because one of the other things we tell people is get uncomfortable and then stay there. Really, because that comfort is like the hardest thing. You just get really complacent. You just do what you always did, and there's no growth. There's no risk growth. So
Right. I don't know what resting on your laurels is. I don't know. That's not.
I
don't have any laurels. No laurels. I don't rest. No laurels.
My laurels. Oh my gosh. The people on iTunes are going to get to see what we all just did, but watch it on YouTube. Oh my God. Well, this has been just incredible. For our community and listeners, we'd like to end with, why does visibility as business owners matter? Why would you say that matters?
Well, Mae West, John and I are big fans of a good quote, and I think it's important to have a section in your iPhone or your book or wherever of quotes that you can use for presentations or whatever. But Mae West once said, it's better to be looked over than overlooked. And that idea that to be, any press is good press, that to put it out there and use, there's so many great tools. When I was in my 20s and we didn't, we didn't have Facebook or Instagram or any of those kind of things. The ability to broadcast the message now, obviously, is so different and is so changed. And I'm fascinated meeting people that I've never heard of 2 years ago who've become these media phenomenons or Instagram phenomenons or interior designers that, 10 years ago, you were published and maybe you got projects. That whole experience has changed. So I think that, being visible, whatever that means, start small. If you're not on Instagram, really start building a community and define your story, define your MO, and then get out there and tell that story. That will lead to maybe down the road, you can do a show house, and that will lead to a regional magazine. And a regional magazine can probably be a lot bigger than a national magazine. But even not on the press side, come to High Point, meet and greet. Make those connections. And I think we're big believers in, if I can connect somebody, I know somebody great here and I know somebody great over here, if I can bring them together, I love that. And I'm not looking for any quid pro quo, but chances are down the road that connection, you build a community, really build a community, and use that community to amp up your visibility.
Have you read our course?
I swear,
you just taught
every C in our course.
Yeah,
we have 9 C's. We love alliteration. We're like, every time you mention one of our C's, I'm like, oh my gosh, you are our tribe, Jason, Oliver, Nixon.
Do we know what we're doing? Does it sound like we know what we're doing? I'm never quite sure.
Oh my gosh. So we are going to beeline it to you next High Point. You are going to be our number.
Come over for dinner. And you guys, congratulations. You guys are rocking and rolling, and much deserved success. So congratulations.
Thank you. We will see you at next market for sure.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you
for coming on.
Thanks for having me.